The autumn leaves were just beginning to turn in our quiet suburban neighborhood in upstate New York, where life had always felt like a warm, unbreakable cocoon. At 50, I, Emily Thompson, had everything a woman could dream of. A devoted husband, John, who still looked at me with the same affection after 25 years of marriage, and our two wonderful children, our daughter Sarah, 15 and full of teenage dreams, and our son Mike, 17, with his infectious laugh and boundless energy. We lived in a cozy colonial house with a white picket fence, the kind you see in those feel-good movies, where family dinners were filled with stories and laughter, and weekends meant backyard barbecues or drives to the nearby lakes. Happiness wasn't just a word, it was our everyday reality, woven into the fabric of our routines. But then came the invitation that would subtly shift the ground beneath my feet. My school, where I'd taught English literature for over 2 decades, organized a 7-day professional development retreat in the Adirondack Mountains, a chance to bond with colleagues, share ideas, and recharge amid nature's splendor. I was excited at first. John encouraged me to go, kissing my forehead and saying it would be good for me. Little did I know that among the group would be Austin, my sister-in-law's son, a vibrant 28-year-old who'd recently joined the staff as a physical education instructor. Tall, with a disarming smile and eyes that seemed to hold unspoken stories, he was family in a distant way, but we'd never been close, until now. As we arrived at the rustic lodge, nestled among towering pines and overlooking a misty lake, the air buzzed with anticipation. The organizers paired us up for the cottages to foster teamwork, and fate, or perhaps something more insidious, assigned Austin and me to the same quaint 2-bedroom cabin, complete with a stone fireplace and views that whispered secrets through the fog-shrouded windows. At first, everything was perfectly normal. Polite conversations over coffee, shared laughs about school anecdotes, and evenings spent reviewing workshop notes. He was respectful, charming in that effortless American way, with his easygoing Midwestern accent from his upbringing in Ohio before moving east. But as the days blurred, I felt an inexplicable pull, a subtle tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Lingering glances across the room, accidental brushes of hands while passing dishes, and quiet nights where the crackling fire seemed to echo unspoken thoughts. My heart raced in ways it hadn't in years, a shiver tracing my spine as I wondered if he felt it too. What was this stirring within me, this forbidden curiosity that made sleep elusive? The retreat was meant to refresh my spirit, but instead it awakened something dormant, leaving me breathless with questions I dared not voice. What lay ahead in those shadowed woods? I remember the first evening in that cottage as if it were etched in glass, fragile, reflective, and dangerously clear. The Adirondacks enveloped us in their ancient embrace, the air crisp with the scent of pine and earth after a light rain. Austin and I unpacked in silence at first, the kind that's comfortable yet charged, like the pause before a symphony begins. He carried my suitcase with ease, his muscles flexing under his flannel shirt, a casual strength that reminded me of younger days I'd long forgotten. "Aunt Emily," he said with a grin, though we both knew the title felt awkward now. He was my sister-in-law Karen's boy, but at 28, he was every bit a man, independent and worldly. I corrected him gently. "Just Emily, please. We're colleagues here." He nodded, his blue eyes sparkling under the cabin's warm lamplight, and something in that moment sent a subtle thrill through me, a whisper of intrigue that made my pulse quicken. The retreat schedule was packed: morning seminars on innovative teaching methods, afternoon hikes through leaf-strewn trails, and group discussions around bonfires where stories flowed like the nearby streams. Austin and I found ourselves thrown together often, paired for team-building exercises, sharing notes on student engagement strategies. He was brilliant in his way, passionate about inspiring kids through sports, his enthusiasm infectious. During one hike, as we lagged behind the group, he pointed out a hidden waterfall, his hand lightly on my arm to steady me over rocky terrain. The touch lingered a second too long, electric, and I pulled away with a laugh to mask the flutter in my chest. "Careful there," he murmured, his voice low, like a secret shared with the wind. That night, back in the cottage, We sat by the fire, sipping herbal tea he'd brewed, chamomile with a hint of honey, soothing yet awakening. Conversation turned personal. He spoke of his dreams beyond teaching, maybe coaching at a college level, while I shared tales of raising Sarah and Mike, the joys and quiet sacrifices. His gaze held mine, intense, as if peeling back layers I'd kept hidden even from myself. A shiver ran down my spine, not from the chill, but from the mystery unfolding. Why did his presence make the room feel smaller, warmer? By the third day, the attraction was undeniable, though we danced around it like shadows in the dawn light. Mornings began with shared breakfasts, eggs scrambled on the tiny stove, fresh bread from the lodge bakery, and coffee that steamed like our unspoken thoughts. He'd catch me staring at the lake from the window, lost in reverie, and join me, our shoulders almost touching. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he'd say, but his eyes were on me, not the view. I felt seen in a way John hadn't made me feel in years. Not that our marriage was lacking, but routine had dulled the edges of passion. Austin brought a spark, a curiosity that thrilled and terrified. One afternoon, during a free period, we explored a nearby trail alone. The path wound through dense forest, sunlight filtering in golden shafts, and we talked of literature, my passion, and how stories mirror life's hidden depths. He quoted a line from Hemingway about love being an iceberg with most unseen, and I blushed, wondering if he meant us. As we rested by a stream, our hands brushed while reaching for the same water bottle, and this time, neither pulled away. His fingers intertwined with mine briefly, a coded promise of something more, sending waves of warmth through me that made my breath hitch. Evenings grew longer, more intimate. The cottage became our sanctuary, away from the group's chatter. We'd play soft music on his phone, classic American folk tunes, Dylan and Simon Garfunkel, and share stories of our pasts. He opened up about a failed engagement, the heartbreak that left him wary, and I confessed the quiet loneliness that sometimes crept into my perfect life despite John and the kids. His empathy was a balm, drawing me closer. One night, after a group dinner where wine flowed freely, we returned tipsy and laughing. The fire crackled as we sat on the worn couch, knees touching. He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear, whispering compliments that made my skin tingle. How my wisdom lit up rooms, how my smile reminded him of summer dawns. I felt a rush, a forbidden excitement, as our conversation turned to dreams unspoken. In that moment, with the world outside fading, we shared a tender connection, a blending of souls that left me breathless, yearning for what might come next. The mystery deepened with each passing hour. Was this just the retreat's magic, or something destined to upend my world? By midweek, our bond had woven itself into stolen glances and subtle touches, a hand on the small of my back as we walked, a shared blanket during a chilly evening stargazing session. The group noticed nothing, but inside a storm brewed. That pivotal night arrived unexpectedly. Rain pounded the roof, thunder rumbling like a warning. We were alone, the power flickering, candles casting dancing shadows. Austin poured us wine, his eyes locking with mine, filled with a hunger that mirrored my own. We talked for hours, vulnerabilities laid bare, until words gave way to a deeper communion. In the soft glow, we explored the unspoken territories of affection, our hearts entwining in ways that felt both eternal and ephemeral. It was a dance of emotions, coded in whispers and caresses, leaving me shattered and whole. As dawn broke on the last day, we awoke to a profound shift. Love had bloomed in that secluded haven, deep and undeniable. Packing to leave, our farewell lingered, promises exchanged in hushed tones. Returning home loomed like a shadow, but the intrigue of what we'd ignited kept my spirit alight, curious and afraid of the unraveling ahead. Returning home to our colonial in upstate New York felt like stepping into a photograph, everything familiar yet strangely distant, as if the colors had shifted in my absence. The Adirondack retreat had changed me, and Austin's presence lingered in my thoughts like a melody I couldn't shake. John greeted me at the door with his warm, steady smile, pulling me into a hug that smelled of cedar and home. Sarah and Mike bounded in, eager for stories about the trip, their voices overlapping with teenage excitement. I recounted the hikes, the workshops, the misty lake views, but my words felt hollow, a performance masking the truth. Every laugh, every nod, was haunted by the memory of Austin's eyes, those piercing blue depths that had seen me in ways I'd forgotten I could be seen. My heart raced with guilt and exhilaration, a dangerous cocktail that made my hands tremble as I unpacked. At school, the rhythm of teaching resumed, grading essays, guiding students through Shakespeare, but Austin was everywhere. He'd pass me in the faculty lounge, his smile a coded message that sent shivers down my spine. "Morning, Emily," he'd say, his voice low, and I'd blush, fumbling with my coffee mug. We found excuses to linger, planning a joint literature and sports project, sharing lunch in the courtyard. Each moment was electric, a thread pulling us closer. One afternoon, as we sorted handouts in an empty classroom, our fingers brushed over a stack of papers. He didn't pull away, and neither did I. His hand covered mine, warm and firm, and for a heartbeat, the world was just us. Two souls caught in a forbidden dance. "I can't stop thinking about you," he whispered, and my breath caught, torn between fear and a yearning so fierce it burned. Our connection deepened in stolen moments. Late-night texts, carefully worded to avoid suspicion, became our lifeline. "Missed you at the staff meeting," he'd write, but we both knew it meant more. I'd reply with a smiley face, my heart pounding as I hid my phone from John's curious glance. We met outside school, too, a coffee shop in the next town, a quiet bookstore where we'd browse novels and steal glances over the shelves. Each encounter was a spark, igniting feelings I'd buried under years of routine. I told myself it was harmless, a fleeting thrill, but deep down I knew it was more. Austin saw the woman I'd been before motherhood, before marriage, a dreamer, a poet, alive with passion. With him, I wasn't just Mom or Mrs. Thompson. I was Emily, vibrant and desired. One evening, we drove to a secluded park overlooking the Hudson River, the water shimmering under a crescent moon. We sat on a bench, wrapped in a shared blanket against the autumn chill. He spoke of his childhood in Ohio, of dreams deferred, and I shared stories of my college days when I'd wanted to write novels. His hand found mine, our fingers lacing together, and he leaned closer, his breath warm against my cheek. "You make me feel alive, Emily," he murmured, and in that moment, our hearts spoke a language beyond words, a tender, coded embrace that left me dizzy with longing. We stayed there, wrapped in each other's presence, the night shielding our secret. I knew it was wrong, yet it felt like the truest thing I'd ever known. But shadows loomed. John began to notice my distraction, the way I'd stare out the window or linger over my phone. "Everything okay, Em?" he'd ask, his brow furrowed. I'd nod, forcing a smile, but guilt gnawed at me. I loved John, his steadiness, his kindness. But Austin had awakened something wild, something I couldn't tame. The tension built, a storm gathering force. One night, as I sat grading papers, John picked up my phone, left carelessly on the counter. His face changed as he scrolled, a text from Austin glowing in the dim light. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." The silence that followed was deafening. "Who's this?" he asked, voice tight. My heart plummeted, words failing me. The truth spilled out in fragments, confused, tearful confessions of feelings I couldn't deny. His eyes, once so warm, turned cold. "Get out," he said, voice breaking. By morning, my bags were packed, the kids' stunned faces etched in my mind as John's decision echoed. Divorce. I left our home, my sanctuary, with nothing but a suitcase and a heart heavy with love and regret. Austin waited for me, but the world we'd built in whispers now faced reality's harsh light. What had we done? Where would this love, born in a cottage's glow, lead us now? The days after leaving my home blurred into a haze of heartache and hope, like driving through fog on a winding New York back road. I checked into a small motel on the outskirts of town, the kind with neon signs flickering promises of rest that never came. Austin was there that first night, his truck pulling up quietly, his face a mix of concern and determination under the dim parking lot lights. He held me as I sobbed, his arms a fortress against the storm I'd unleashed. "We'll figure this out, Emily," he whispered, his voice steady like the Ohio rivers he'd grown up beside. In that embrace, our love felt both fragile and fierce, a mystery unraveling thread by thread. What would become of us in this new, uncertain world? We moved into a modest apartment in a nearby city, a place with creaky floors and windows overlooking bustling streets, far from the suburban calm I'd known. Austin quit his job at the school to avoid scandal, taking up coaching at a local gym, his passion for guiding others now channeled into building a life with me. Mornings were tender rituals, him brewing coffee while I wrote in a journal, capturing the whirlwind of emotions that had upended everything. We'd sit at the tiny kitchen table, hands entwined, sharing dreams we'd only hinted at before. "I want to show you the world," he'd say, his eyes alight with that youthful fire, and I'd lean in, our foreheads touching, feeling the spark that had ignited in the cottage reignite anew. Our days were filled with coded affections, long walks in Central Park replicas, where we'd find hidden benches and exchange whispers that made my heart race, shivers of anticipation tracing my skin. But the romance wasn't without its shadows, a lingering suspense that kept me on edge. My children, Sarah and Mike, were caught in the crossfire. John had custody, and our interactions were strained, phone calls laced with their confusion and anger. "Why, Mom?" Sarah asked once, her voice cracking, and I could only offer half-truths, the pain of separation twisting like a knife. Austin became my anchor, surprising me with picnics in the park, where we'd spread a blanket under autumn leaves and feed each other strawberries, our laughter mingling with the rustle of wind. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, he pulled out a small box, a necklace with a pendant shaped like a key. "To our future," he said, fastening it around my neck, his fingers lingering, sending waves of warmth through me. We danced there, slow and close, to music only we could hear, our bodies swaying in perfect harmony, a dance of souls that left me breathless with wonder. Yet doubt crept in like evening mist. Was this love real, or a rebound from the life I'd lost? Austin sensed it, drawing me closer during quiet nights. We'd lie on the couch, wrapped in each other, sharing stories under a single lamp's glow. He'd trace patterns on my arm, his touch a language of reassurance, evoking memories of our cottage nights, but deeper now, forged in adversity. "You're my everything," he'd murmur, and in those moments, the mystery of our bond unfolded further, how two people from different worlds could fit so seamlessly. We explored the city together, hand in hand, cozy bookstores where we'd read poetry aloud, hidden cafes serving pie that reminded me of home, each outing a step toward healing. Our affection grew in subtle ways, a stolen glance across a crowded room, a note left on the pillow, words that made my pulse quicken with intrigue. The climax came unexpectedly, a suspenseful twist that tested our resolve. My sister-in-law, Karen, Austin's mother, discovered our secret through whispers in the family grapevine. She arrived unannounced, her face a storm of betrayal. "How could you?" she demanded, eyes flashing between us. The confrontation was raw, emotions spilling like rain on pavement. Austin stood firm, defending our love with a passion that moved me to tears. "This isn't fleeting, Mom, it's real," he said, his hand finding mine. Karen left conflicted, but her words lingered, a shadow over our joy. That night, as we sat on the balcony watching city lights twinkle like stars, Austin turned to me. "No matter what, I'm here. he promised, sealing it with a tender connection that washed away the doubts, leaving only the thrill of our shared path. In the end, our love endured, a beautiful enigma that reshaped my world. The divorce finalized, a painful chapter closed, but with Austin, I found a new beginning. Romance woven into everyday miracles, suspense giving way to serenity. Sarah and Mike began to visit, tentative bridges rebuilding. Life wasn't perfect, but in his arms, under the vast American sky, I felt alive, curious about the endless mysteries ahead, our hearts forever entwined.